everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Fashion Grunge Podcast. I am your host, Lauren.
Hi, I'm Charles.
What's up, everyone? I'm really excited. It's November today.
Woohoo!
Yay. I guess. I don't know. I want this month to be over for lots of reasons. And yeah, it's cold and rainy here today. So this is kind of the perfect time to talk about this hilarious film from the late 90s called The Opposite of Sex by Don Roos. I was going to say Dan. Don Roos is the writer director, starring Christina Ricci, among other people, but she's like the main character. So yeah, Charles, are you excited?
I am.
You actually requested this because I wanted to do Goodfellas,
Yeah.
which is entirely different from The Opposite of Sex. That's like a 3-hour mob film by Scorsese, which is great. It's a super great film. But Charles was like, I want something a little bit like fluffier and like not as intense. And I was like,
super shallow. I want a super shallow movie.
so I was like, let's do The Opposite of Sex. And you're like, yeah. I was like, it's on Amazon Prime. For anyone out there, check your Amazon if you have Prime. It's out. It's kind of a sleeper, I want to say.
Yeah.
It's not a film a lot of people know, I don't think.
Well, I think this movie came out when I was about 15. I think this was like the first big, like not big, but one of the first like independent movies I was really like fascinated by.
Yeah, it's definitely indie. Definitely has that 90s indie spirit. And you know, back in the 90s when you would see Sony Pictures Classics, like you knew it was good because they were like the indie distributor for a lot of independent movies. Like SLC Punk, I think, was like Sony Picture Classic, and a few other ones. But I feel like you always see that blue screen in like the trailer, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
it's gonna be an indie.
There was like a really like independent movie theater in Tenleytown, Friendship Heights area on like
the Circle.
Yeah, it was sort of like across the street from like Steak and Shake, you know?
Yeah, a Steak and Egg.
Yeah.
The Circle. I think it was like Tenley Circle.
Yeah, I think they only had like 3 or 4 theaters.
Yeah, they did.
But I was really like sort of going to see movies or just because you saw posters for like stuff that looked so different and like you know like just weird. But yeah,
totally. We had a few theaters like that. Let's see. Now we have E Street.
Yeah,
assuming that there are going to be movie theaters like opening anytime soon, and then we have some in Bethesda and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I remember that Tenley Circle Theater. I think I went there one time. And I think I saw Dancer in the Dark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's where I saw that. But yeah, no, I think it closed down like a while ago. It's a bank now.
No, I think it's been closed for a while too.
Yeah, it's been at least like 10 or 15 years, maybe.
Yeah,
it's definitely been a long time. But yeah, this is definitely one of those kind of films that you would see in an indie kind of art house crowd. That's a big boom for the 90s, is that there were so many great independent films coming out all the time, which I think in the 80s, there would be independent films, but it was basically, studio pictures. So now it's cool that in the 90s was really, really explorative and just cool.
Yeah, my sister used to rent a lot of good movies like from the library.
And
it was weird. You don't really think about going to as library is a good place to like find like good stuff, but it really is.
Yeah, I used to check out CDs from the library.
Yeah. I remember we watched this movie once called Night on Earth. That's sort of like a
Winona Ryder's in that, right?
Yeah.
And
it's sort of it's like 5 short films, like all about like taxi drivers. But
is it Jim Jarmusch?
Oh, I don't remember.
Let me see. I'm gonna look that up. I think it is.
Yeah, but I think that like each place or each story takes place in like a different city. Like I think the first one is in New York, and the other is in like Los Angeles, and then I think one takes place in Paris, and I forget where the fourth one takes place. I think the last takes place in like Helsinki.
It is Jim Jarmusch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, we should do that one. It's 1991.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. And Gina Rollins, I was gonna say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito,
Mhm.
Rosie Perez. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm so excited. I haven't seen this film. Like, I was gonna say the first time I remember seeing it, I probably was at Mike's house because he has this
Oh, okay.
on DVD. And I think I might have even seen it like on tape or like on TV or something at his house because he had cable.
Mhm.
So I think I either saw it at his house or I probably rented it because it was Christina Ricci and she's on the cover. It's
Yeah.
like a really like stark cover, like red background. It looks really bold. And I
Mhm.
remember thinking like, God, she's so cool.
Yeah.
Christina Ricci was like I mean, if people didn't know, I'm trying to think of who she'd be comparable to now, but I feel like she might be considered, she was like an it girl. Like she
Yeah.
came up around Winona Ryder's time, but she's a little bit younger than Winona. So like she was like around our age, isn't she? I think she's like
Yeah.
closer
I
to
think
our age
so.
than Winona is. So she was in
Um,
a lot of things in the 90s. Like and after like Now and Then, and she really got big on Now and Then. I mean,
mhm.
I remember her from that. And then she was in, wasn't she in Mermaids with Cher and
Yeah.
Winona Ryder?
Yeah, I believe that was her. I think it might be her first movie, and she is just adorable.
I
Um,
know, and she's really little.
yeah.
She's like really tiny, and she's in Casper,
Mhm.
which is another big
Um,
one.
oh, and
Um,
she was in the movie Pecker, which I just love.
yeah, I
Um,
know. I was gonna say like I was talking to Mike about that earlier, and I was like, oh, we should do Pecker. She's in Fear and Loathing
oh,
in
okay.
like '98.
And
She's
then
in that
she's
movie, The
in,
Ice Storm.
and oh, the Ice Storm. Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also in Sleepy Hollow, right?
Yep, Adam's Family.
Oh, oh,
That was a
right.
big one, 91. Yeah, she was like young. I think that was right after, I'm looking now, right after Mermaid, she did something called The Hard Way and then Adam's Family. And that was like, she was kind of known for that,
Yeah.
I think, for a while. Then she was in one episode of, oh, she's in that episode of The Simpsons, that one where
Oh,
Lisa is in the summer.
oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and that's like one of the best episodes. What is that, like season four? Or
Um,
I don't know what season that is.
I,
It's 96.
I want it might be either 6 or 7.
It's so good. It's like the
Yeah.
best one where like Lisa's like hanging with some cool kids and she looks like Blossom. Yeah, I love that. That's such a great episode
Like,
too.
whatever.
She's not like my mom. She'd be butting in with Rice Krispie squares and Tang. And then Marge like quickly U-turns out because that's what she has on her plate. That's really funny. But Christina Ricci has such a cool voice too.
Mhm.
That's what I really like about her is that she has such a like really piercing scream, like
Yeah.
really piercing yelling voice. And she has a really interesting just narration voice. And I've noticed, I don't know if there are any other films, but Prozac Nation, which is another really great film, she narrates that as well.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like this. Have you seen Prozac Nation?
I don't think so.
With Jessica Lange? Oh, it's great. It's
Okay,
her and
cool.
Jessica Lange, and literally, it's almost like we should review it. It came out in the 2000s, so we could do it as a bonus. It's literally almost like a stage play of just Christina Ricci and Jessica Lange chain smoking, walking through an apartment, like screaming at each other. Like there's so many scenes where she's just like completely losing it on her mom, and my mom has seen Jessica Lange like I think she's seen her basically like in these old films.
Mhm.
So one time I was watching this like years ago and she was like, "What's up with Jessica Lange? I've never seen her act like this. Like she's so loud and like screaming and chain smoking and like super intense." And Christina Ricci's like screaming back at her and she's like, "What movie is this?" It's like it's Prozac Nation. And like Jason Biggs is in it, Michelle Williams is in it. It's great. It's a really great film. That could be on, it's sometimes on Netflix. That could
Okay.
be out there somewhere, yeah. But
Um,
she screams in that too.
I know that Jessica Lange won her second Oscar for a movie I've never seen called Blue Sky.
What's
Um,
that?
and I think it's like her and like Tommy Lee Jones, and I think she plays like a
Oh.
housewife, and like I want to say the 1960s, but I could be wrong. But I think she plays a housewife that has like really bad like bipolar stuff, and so
Oh.
she just basically has these like breakdown scenes that are just like epic.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean she's great at that type of acting.
but yeah, yeah,
For sure. My favorite character that she's ever played is definitely Constance in American Horror Story season 1.
yeah, yeah.
She's that's I think my favorite Jessica Lange iteration. I think it was really good. But yeah, when's the first time you saw this film?
I don't remember exactly, but I remember hearing them talk about it in like some NPR station.
Oh,
And like they like played a scene from when Christina Ricci and Ivan Sergey's character tell Bill that they're in love and that she's pregnant. And
like one of my
then
favorite scenes.
and then just that quote of like L- L- Lisa Cooter being like, "You're gay, you jerk," and then like Ivan Sturi being like, "I'm bisexual," and she's like, "Oh please, I went to a bar mitzvah once. That doesn't make me Jewish."
I know. I was like, I couldn't think of favorite lines because it's like everything that Christina Ricci and or Lisa Kudrow say throughout the whole film is
Yeah,
just so
I
funny.
I don't really care about the other characters all that much.
I kind of like Ivan Sergey just because I used to watch that show Jack and Jill that was on the WB
Oh
after
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Felicity, and he played Jill. And there was like Amanda Peet was Jack, and Sarah Paulson. Woo woo,
Oh,
she was in that show along with like
okay.
Simon Rex and
Okay.
some other random people. But yeah,
Yeah, it was
they're basically the only ones I care about.
yeah, it was like Simon Rex and Andy Kirk, right? It was
Justin Kirk.
Justin Kirk. Thank you.
Yeah. It's like so weird. Like it's so funny that show I think was on like 2 seasons or something, but I used to really like it.
Oh God, the WB used to be so good.
So good. I mean, and also Dawson's Creek is back on Netflix, and I was like, whoever doesn't have these DVDs at this point, like, or like I've bought everything, and they're like, I saw some article where they're like, oh, Dawson's Creek is back on Netflix. All these people are gonna start viewing it again. I was like, the original music's not in it. I could care less. If you
Um,
were gonna bring back like every original music so I could find out all these songs and like write them down for once and for all,
mhm.
then I'd be excited about it. But I've seen Dawson's Creek like a million times, and it's
Yeah,
on Hulu. It's been on Hulu forever, so it's
I
like,
remember when like the first episode aired and like the day after at school when like all the girls were like freaking out. They're like, "Oh my God, did you see it? Did you see it?" And
yeah.
then like I think we were in like history class or something. Like the history teacher like freaked out and was like, "Can you all stop talking about Danson's River for Christ's sake? And
I know.
can we turn back to the American Revolution?"
I know. I remember that. I was one of those girls that was talking about it the day after. I think I actually got on the phone like during commercial break with
Oh
my friends and like called and then like hung up and then like, oh my God, did you see what just happened? And then after I had a whole other recap, even though we were going to see each other in school the next day.
yeah.
But I definitely had that whole thing. And I was watching all of these old Halloween episodes
Mhm.
of TV shows last night in remembrance of Halloween. So I was watching Buffy,
Oh
where
yeah.
they turn into their costumes.
I
And then I
love
was
that episode.
that one's so good. And then I was
Yeah.
watching, and Xander was like super hot as like a military dude.
Yeah,
In that
I
episode.
think season two Xander is probably like the hottest one.
Yeah, I
And
think so too.
I mean, because I'm just saying he
I
also,
liked Construction Xander in season 4.
yeah.
He
I
wasn't
mean,
bad.
he does also join the swim team, and so
Oh
there's,
yeah, in
there's
season
that.
2. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Anyway,
Yeah, anyway, I digress. And then I was watching like My So-Called Life. They have a good one. The 90210 one where like Luke
mm,
Perry was like Clyde.
oh
Like they're like Bonnie and Clyde. It was super good. I think I posted it on Instagram yesterday. And like Freaks and Geeks has another really good one. But I was just thinking like, oh God, this is just like so it's just so crazy how like the WB was just like everything. I mean, they had Buffy, they had Felicity, they had just like so many great shows.
Roswell.
Oh yeah, Roswell. We had it good.
Yeah,
We had it really good
uh,
in the 90s. I mean, there are a lot of choices now. So I mean, I guess there's that. We didn't have many choices. Like, I mean, there were only major shows on regular channels. So it's like we didn't really have the option to be into like a really niche show
mhm.
because no one would watch it. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. So I was watching a Buffy episode yesterday, and it was like one of the ones in season 5 or whatever. And Spike is like watching TV, and he's watching Dawson's Creek, but you don't see it, but you just see him looking at the TV, and he's like, "God, Pacey, she doesn't love you, you fucking idiot! Like, God, Pacey, she never loved you." And then he like, I think Buffy walked in, and was like, "What are you doing?" Like he's like watching TV in this crypt, which I thought was really funny. Yeah, cool. So wait, did you find any behind the scenes
Um,
notes?
not really. Don Roos, the director, also wrote the screenplay for Single White female.
Yes, I wrote that
Which I
down.
thought was kind of cool.
Super cool.
And Christina Ricci was nominated for a Golden Globe for this movie.
I know, it's cool.
I mean, like in terms of awards, I mean, the Golden Globe is kind of like the crack award. Like, it's not something I particularly
It's not
take.
the Emmy, it's not the Oscar.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, people don't really. I don't really think it matters all that much. But I guess people.
You don't? I think it does.
I mean, I don't know. It's like fine. But
I think I think the reason why I think it's a big deal is because I'm glad that Claire Danes won it for My So-Called Life.
yeah, that's
Because
cool.
she deserved that. And what I think is cool about it is that the Golden Globe is the Hollywood Foreign Press.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's kind of cool. It's more of like overseas.
Yeah.
It's almost like getting a BAFTA.
Okay.
Like you're kind of like getting props from like the overseas crowd. Granted, you do want, I guess, the people here, but so much of voting and like those kind of things is so like it's so political.
Mm-hmm.
Like they already, you can, I mean, I think I was talking about this with Jai the other day, or maybe I mentioned it on a podcast, I don't remember, but you could kind of tell last season, Oscar season, or whenever that was, that Brad Pitt was getting that Oscar for Tarantino's film.
Yeah.
Like you could just tell that like he was everywhere. He was winning every award that would come before the Oscar. And I was like, all right, they're like campaigning for him to get the supporting Oscar now. Because he hasn't gotten one, right? He hasn't gotten any for acting.
No,
he was nominated for 12 Monkeys. I remember that was like a long time ago.
Yeah, and then I think he was nominated for like Benjamin Button and like
for lead, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's never won lead.
No,
not yet. I mean, I'm sure he probably will. He plays Hollywood's Game. So does Leo.
Yeah,
I mean, Leo got it eventually, eventually. Yeah, he got it. But I don't know why he was nominated for, like, I didn't think Leo deserved to be nominated for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I mean, it was good, but
yeah,
he had maybe one scene that I thought was really great. It was that one where he was like over drinking in his trailer and he was like screaming at himself and like talking to himself.
Yeah.
And it was like a really insanely long Tarantino scene where it's like 15 goddamn minutes with like no cuts. I was like, Jesus, Tarantino, like edit this shit, man. I mean, it's good, but some of this shit needs to be edited down. Like some of these scenes are like a bit long, but that's just for me, obviously, like that's his deal. But I was like, I don't know why he got nominated for that. I was like, but you know, it's Tarantino. He hasn't won a director yet, has he?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
He's won screenplay a couple times. I think he won.
Same with Wes Anderson. Choke on.
Yeah, well, I don't think Wes Anderson has won anything so far.
Wait, hasn't he won Best Screenplay?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I think he's been nominated for some movie he did. I don't really care, but like
I love how we should have like a Wes Anderson diss, like a shade. Oh, he's been nominated for 7 Oscars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
not that it means anything to win a fucking Oscar.
The thing that like does suck is I don't know. I guess I could see them giving him like a consolation award for something at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I know he has his like kitschy vibe and like I think Jai likes Wes Anderson.
Quirky.
Everything's pink and pastel and just so 60s. It's like, okay, all right, I get it. It's not my vibe, all right? It's not my vibe. If I want some weird imagination, I want like Gregoraki. That's what I want. That's my weird imagination.
I just had this like horrible experience of like being dragged to like some Wes Anderson movie when I was like 15, and like just everyone in the theater was just like losing their shit over it, and I was just like, for some reason I was just not in like a good mood, and I just did not enjoy myself at all, and like
and it just carried throughout your entire life.
Yeah.
That ever since then, like whatever bad day you were having that you've attached to Wes Anderson has just carried through throughout your whole life.
I mean, I don't know. I just remember last time my mom like sort of like bullied me into watching a movie with her, and I was like, oh God. And I just remember texting, I think it was you the entire time, just be like, why is this happening to me?
I know.
Dear God, help me. Please make it end.
Yeah, that's pretty much how another one of our bonding friendship qualities is our intense hate for Wes Anderson.
We're 2 hours into this movie and nothing has happened.
Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. And then, and unlike this film, where I could barely write notes because everything fucking happens.
Yeah.
It's like every like 5 minutes, she's like, "So we stole this money, and then we're blackmailing, and we stole some ashes." And I was like, "Okay, this is like I'm gonna have to only make short notes for this movie because if you haven't seen the film, which clearly you're gonna be seeing it while you're listening, then you will have no idea what's going on. So I can't tell you every plot point, but you've seen the film, listeners, so I'm assuming that you'll know what we're talking about. But okay, I have some behind the scenes notes before
Okay.
we get completely off track and just trash Wes Anderson for the next hour, which is fine because everyone's entitled to their opinion and we're not ABC News, so it's fine. So the movie was made for $5 million
Okay.
and it got 6.4 at the box office, mostly in rentals, I think, and definitely like indie theaters when it first came out, but it did make some money on rentals.
Okay.
It was shot in June and July of 97, which is kind of like unexpected that it's only shot in like 2 months. I feel like that's really short.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they did a lot. And I said like Ricci was widely praised for her performance. So obviously you said she got the Globe. She got a nomination, right? She didn't win.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. And then yeah, also the fact also besides single white female, Dan Roos, or why are you going Dan? Don Roos wrote Boys on the Side, Bounce, and he had the show Web Therapy with Lisa Kudrow as well,
Okay.
which I didn't see but yeah, he did that and the movie Happy Endings too, which is another film.
Have you seen that? Because I have not.
No, I have not.
Okay.
I think I've heard of it though. Let me see who's in that. I feel like is that a sitcom? I think there's a movie though. Let me see. 2005. Yeah, it's a movie. Oh, Jesse Bradford and Lisa Kudrow. Okay, so he's worked with Lisa Kudrow like a fair amount of times. Laura Dern's in it. Jason Ritter, Tom Arnold. I have not seen it, but it's on Tubi right now for free.
Okay.
So yeah, check that out. I like Jesse Bradford.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't see him in a lot, and he wrote and directed this. Don Roos.
Mhm.
So that's cool. Yeah, that's all I have.
Cool.
Which is cool. Boys on the Side's another good movie too.
Yeah, it is. I heard it was based on a memoir, which
Oh, is it?
no, yeah, because like I guess it's like based on true story.
Oh.
I'm sort of interested in reading that at some point.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We should review Boys on the Side.
Yeah, I like
It's another good one. Yeah, it's a really good one.
that's
If
the
you
one
haven't
with
seen that.
Drew Barrymore and Brittany Murphy, right?
Yeah, Drew Barrymore. No, I think is Brittany Murphy in this one? Is she in this one?
Wait, is Boys on the Side the one where Drew Barrymore is like 15 and pregnant?
Yes. No, it's the one where they go to it's on like a road trip.
Oh, is that the one with like?
Is she pregnant?
Is that the
I
one
don't
with,
remember. It's
is
been
that
a long
the one with
time.
Whoopi Goldberg?
Yes.
Okay.
Whoopi Goldberg's in it. Mary Louise Parker. I'm just looking at Google now, but I remember it's like a road trip movie. The one with that the one where she's pregnant is Riding in Cars with Boys.
Oh, okay.
I think that's it. That's the one that has Drew Barrymore and Brittany Murphy.
Okay.
And I think she is pregnant. I think. Yeah, because it's like the 60s.
Yeah.
That one's based on a true story. That one's based on like a definite
Okay.
what do you call it, memoir. But the other one could be too.
I think
Yeah, the other one could
I think Riding Cars with Boys is what I was.
Yeah, because they're like very similar. That's another good one. That's 2001. Yeah, Boys on the Side, she's like really young in that one. The one
Okay.
would be, yeah. Yeah, cool. Well, let's get into this movie. Okay. So in the beginning, we meet Dee Dee Pruitt, who's in Louisiana. She's 16 years old. This is Christina Ricci. So she narrates throughout the film, and she's fucking hilarious.
Mhm.
And I can't even I just can't. I just wrote I wrote, Ricci is so loving playing this like tramped out girl. Like she just has like it's almost like Black Snake Moan.
Yeah.
You ever see that?
No.
It's like she just plays that so well.
Yeah.
Like that kind of character, which I really like. I really like when she has blonde hair too.
Yeah.
I feel like blonde Christina Ricci is a different vibe from like brunette Christina Ricci, which is so funny. And then like you were saying earlier, her stepdad we find out that her stepdad dies, and she's at his funeral, like smoking and like sitting in the chair, and like the mom is like freaking out, and she's like, throw the dirt, do like I showed you, and she just starts heaving shit at the coffin, and then just like kicking it, and she's like smoking with cleavage all the way down, like a Marilyn Monroe type dress where it's like a halter top, and then she's just like she chain smokes throughout the entire film, which is so funny.
Yeah.
Which I think she like throws all this shit at his coffin, and then she's like, "So I'm running away." So I packed my bags, and then I'm taking this gun. Remember this later. So I like how she talks to the audience
Mhm.
too. She's not just narrating the film. She's like telling you like, this is called foreshadowing. Remember that I have this gun. It will come back. And then she's going to find her half brother, and she's like, I'm gonna go live with him in like Indiana, which is so weird because I'm pretty sure that's a street in LA, because that's the neighborhood they use for like every Midwestern neighborhood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I feel like in Ferris Bueller it looked like that.
Oh, okay.
Like where his house was, it looked like that area of LA. That show Little Fires Everywhere, I'm pretty sure they filmed on the same street. Like, because it's like it's a typical suburban street and you can't really tell where it is.
Mhm.
Like in LA, it doesn't have like palm trees and stuff on it, but who knows, which I think's really funny. So then she like goes up to her half brother's place, who's played by Martin Donovan. His name is Bill, and he's gay, and he had a partner, and the partner died from, I think, AIDS or HIV. I'm not sure.
Yes.
And but he had a lot of money. He was like a stockbroker in the 80s, so he has this like really really nice house. And then she goes to the door, and it's like Ivan Sergey who like answers the door, and he's like young, like a lot younger than her brother. I think they're like half brothers, right?
Yeah.
They had the same mom.
I think they have the same dad.
Same dad. That's right.
Yeah.
And and then she's like, "Hey, I'm like the half sister," and he's like, "Hey, what's up? I'm like this young boy toy." And I was like, Ivan Sergey is the boyfriend. I miss him from Jack and Jill.
He does look he does look very like, you know, like kind of he has this very like he's very sexy but in this movie, but he just sort of doesn't really seem to be aware of what's going on a lot of the time.
Yeah, he definitely is pretty like silly.
Yes.
He's like pretty ditzy.
I mean, yeah, I know that Lisa Kudrow's character calls him stupid a lot, but I don't think he's as dumb as like she like portrays him to be.
Yeah, and I think at one point she says like, "You're not as dumb as you want everyone to think you are," or like, "He's not as dumb as you think," or something like that.
Yeah,
that she says to Bill. And I think it's just okay. So he's a school teacher, and it's so weird that Lisa Kudrow is Lucia. Even though she's like, I know my name's supposed to be pronounced Lucia, but my other sisters, like, what was it, like Marsha? Trisha, yeah, she's like, so I just figured CIA is a Sha, so I'm Lucia. And I think it's so funny that like she is the sister of his partner who died, and she literally has just inserted herself in his life.
Yeah.
Like she's just stuck around.
Well, I think they both teach at the same school. So
that's right, they do.
And I do like how before we meet her, the like Christina Ricci voiceover is just like everything was fine until she showed up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And so I think she introduced them, like her brother and Bill, because she wanted like her brother to have friends or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like just thinking they would go like surfing or like not surfing, fishing or something together. And then lo and behold, they end up like dating.
Yeah.
I think Christina Ricci says like, yeah, she just wanted them to like have fun and like do manly stuff together. And they ended up with their dicks in each other's mouths. Like, that's what she says. And
well,
it was like, she's like, okay, whatever.
There is nothing more manly than that.
Yeah, right? Like doing manly shit together, whatever. Like, and so she's like, I love that I forgot they taught at the same school. But even though after he died, I would think that she would be kind of like resentful of, I mean, she is kind of resentful of Bill because he like lives in this house. He doesn't really have to work. It seems that he just does because he has a lot of money from when his partner died. And he's now with this boy toy, which she has to have known about.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Yeah, like she knew about that, which I think is super funny. And so anyway, so then we meet Lucia. So then Dee Dee and Matt is Ivan Sergey, the boyfriend, like the new boyfriend. So Dee Dee is like, whatever. This guy does not look gay at all. Like, this is so weird. Like, this young guy. So then they hang out by the pool. Like, she's like, we started hanging out a lot. Like, she was just totally like planning to trap this guy. Meanwhile, she is 16. Keep this in mind.
Yeah.
And she's like talking about like, how come you know you're really gay if you've never slept with a woman, blah blah blah, trying to like totally rationalize everything. And because he's pretty fucking stupid, they're like, the next flash is like, so we were just getting it on all the time. And then she like proceeds to tell him that she's late, and he has like no idea what that means. And he's like, I'll drive you. And she's like, no. Like, I didn't get my period. I was like, oh my God, this guy. And he's like, oh my God, well, we got to find out what happens. Like, maybe like this will happen and this will happen. And then I'm like, she's kind of like, okay, well, we need to tell them, but we need to do it in stages. Can't tell them all right away. So like, okay, so let's just tell them that we're like hooking up, and then we'll later have to break it to them. And then one of my favorite scenes is when they all find out. Like, they're all just sitting and talking, and I think he's like, so we've been doing this, and then we got to do this before the baby comes, and then before we get married. They're like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, I'm pregnant, and yeah, we've been messing around. And I was like, she's like, oh my God. Like, I love her reaction to like finding out this news. It's just so funny.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the best scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah, it totally is.
Like,
It totally
like,
is.
I think most of my quotes that I like are like from the specific scene. There's like a point when she like recommends that she get an abortion, and then she just like screams out loud, "Am I the only one who wants to kill someone?" And then like, you know, Dee Dee is like, "Well, I guess I'll light up a cigarette." And then, you know, like Lucia is like, "Smoking is bad for the baby." And then Dee Dee's like you care, or was it someone else who mentioned abortion?
Yeah. I was like, oh my God.
And then I like love how Lucia's like, well, maybe you're a blessing in disguise. A fucking good disguise.
I know, a fucking good one. And I love how when Matt's like, well, you know, like, we're gonna do all this before we get married, blah blah blah. And then Dee Dee says like, I don't think it's something we should just rush into. And Lucia's like, oh no, but bring another human life onto the planet. That's whim time. Like, that's just totally fine. And I love that it's like, I love that it's just like this total like, and granted, she's underage.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
she's 16 and he's what, 25?
Yeah, I think he's like 25 or 26, something like that.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
I mean,
I just like, yeah, it's just really crazy. It's really fucking crazy, but it's really funny too. So yeah, I was like, she's so underage. Oh my God. So then Matt and Dee Dee leave the house, and they're like taking off, and they took the safe deposit money, which was 10 grand.
Yes.
And of course, Bill is like gonna cover for him, and he's not gonna like press charges or anything crazy. And then I wrote, okay, so then he doesn't know where they went. They've just taken off. She's like, we're pregnant and we're gonna go raise this baby somewhere else. And she just like, keep in mind the story is fucking batshit, and like just weird shit just keeps happening all the time.
Yeah,
I love.
This is within like the first like 15 minutes. So like,
yeah, we've barely gotten into like the story, and there's no like real main point of the story. It's just like following these different people to see what is going to happen next, really. And then, oh my God, we get Johnny Galecki, who's like this super weird with a stripe in his hair, like kind of sort of grungy late 90s gay guy.
I'm pretty sure I dated this person in college.
Yeah, right? Like, he definitely does not like, he definitely is like super weird, but then he's like yelling because Matt is his boyfriend. And he's like taken off, and he's talking to Bill, and he's like, where is he? I bet you've killed him. You've probably killed him and dumped him somewhere. What the fuck's going on? Like, why won't you tell me where he is? He's like, dude, I don't know where he is. And then he's like, well, you know, I'm going to go to the cops and file a missing persons report. And I'm going to tell them that you molested me when we were in school and you were my teacher. And he's like, what? But that's not even true. And he's like, well, if you find Matt, then I'll drop the suit. And I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And then also keep in mind that the local cop is fucking Lyle Lovett.
Yeah. Um,
aka Carl.
um, so I guess he's like a singer or something. I
He
don't.
was married to Julia Roberts. That's
Okay,
all you need to
I
know for
like.
like
Okay,
2 years.
I mean, I think it was like, I mean, like, I remember watching this movie with my mom, and like, she was like, "Oh, it's Lyle Lovett." I was like, "I don't know who Lyle Lovett is. I'm sorry." So,
He was the only marriage he's ever had was Julia Roberts from 93 to 95.
oh, okay, well, 2 years in Hollywood is like 10 years in the real world.
Yeah, it's true. And Julia Roberts, God help him. I hate Julia Roberts.
I
It's
mean,
super lame.
Sleeping with the Enemy is a really good movie. I'm just gonna say it. Uh,
I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen Pretty Woman. Don't at me. I'm
I,
not going to
you
see it
know,
based on principle now.
to be honest, I thought Pretty Woman was kind of overrated.
Thank God, thank God.
But like that said, mid '90s Julia Roberts is like, I'll go through like these stages where I like to watch groups of movies at once, and like I'll go through a stage where I like consistently am like, I want mid '90s Julia Roberts. So, you know,
Notting Hill, My Best Friend's Wedding.
yeah, there's also the Pelican Brief,
Hell
and
yeah. That's not a
um,
Grisham book.
yeah, I think so.
Pelican Brief. The Pelican Brief. Like The
Um,
Rainmaker
yeah,
and
yeah,
like The Firm. Is The Firm a Grisham book?
yeah, and like he also did The Client. Um,
The Firm, The Client,
yeah.
The Pelican Brief. So funny.
Um, anyway,
Okay, so Lyle Lovett's the cop in town. All right, so the media is all at the high school. This is causing a big hubbub. And oh my fucking God, it's Mary goddamn Cherry from Popular.
yeah.
I was like looking down for a second and then I heard her voice and I was like, oh, it's Mary Cherry. She's, oh my God, her name's Leslie Grossman. She's fucking hilarious. She's in some horror story seasons now, but I came to know her as Mary Cherry from the WB show Popular.
Oh, so I started watching the American Horror Story 1984. Is she in that one?
Yep.
Okay, okay.
Did you watch Cult yet?
I started. I didn't. I think I got like 2 or 3 episodes in.
It's really scary now because it's literally like a repeat of what the fuck's happening. But
Yeah,
like,
if I might wait until this election's over before
I
I.
started watching House of Cards. That was a bad move. I'm now like so deep, and I'm just like everything's fucking corrupt. God damn it! Like it's just so crazy. I'm like, this is fucking nuts.
um,
Um,
oh,
so
I do like Mary Cherry's quote when she's talking to
yeah, what is her
Train,
quote?
and she's like, Jesus Christ and his apostles were certainly not into man-on-man action, which which I'm proud to say Blockbuster does not carry. We're very family-oriented,
I know.
and
I work
like
there.
and I never realized how much rage I have at Blockbuster because like for some reason I just they were okay, but they never really seemed to like no, I don't know. They just never seem to carry a lot of good stuff.
No, they didn't.
Like
Everything was always out.
yeah, yeah, and like I don't know. Like there's this period of time when I had to live in Alabama, anyway. But like I was like trying to find the movie Some Like It Hot, that like was made in 1960. And so I went to the clerk at Blockbuster and I was like, "Do you have the movie Some Like It Hot?" And I guess he thought I meant like a pornographic movie. So, like he just like shook his head and like dropped his brow. Was like, "No, we don't carry anything like that."
He's like, we also don't carry a film about two men dressing up as a woman to get away from a gangster. Um, we don't agree with that either. They probably didn't agree with that either, even though it has Marilyn Monroe. Shout out to Some Like It Hot. It's a great film if anyone hasn't seen it. But I was gonna say this is literally a screenplay waiting to happen, as like some random force has made you live in Alabama for like a year, and you just go on this like downward spiral with this like young man who spends way too much time at Blockbuster and buys like a copious amounts of DVDs.
Yeah.
Like you were ordering everything. Like I think at one point, like I lived in California and you like mailed me all of 90210.
Yeah.
Like and I was watching it, I was like mailing it back, and I was like, I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna do this. And I was like, and then after a while, you just had like a massive purge, and you just like sold everything.
Yeah, well, I like took a picture of my DVD collection one day, and I was like, this might be starting to become a problem.
I'm embarrassed.
like,
Like,
dude, I really need to own the first 4 seasons of Jersey Shore. Like,
Oh, I had Viva La Bam.
I'm not gonna lie, I love Jersey Shore, but
Seasons 1 through 4 are fucking gold. Season 1 of Jersey Shore is so fucking good.
oh, I know, and
Like the first season is so
I
good.
know, and then I like love season 2 when I think they're in Miami.
Oh, the one where they go to Italy is pretty good too.
Yeah, and there's like that scene where like Mike, the situation like bashes his head against the wall on purpose because he's in a fight with Ronnie. Anyway, but
Yeah. There's also one where like Nicole gets in like or Snooki gets in a massive fight and this guy fucking hits her.
yeah,
Fucking brawl.
and it's weird because he's like a full grown man, and
Yeah.
like I
Oh
mean,
yeah. And she's a woman no matter what, but she's like he literally hits her without provocation. It's nuts. And I can't believe MTV like didn't step in.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I know that it's reality, but theirs was a bit more of a scripted reality. Like it
mhm,
wasn't like real world. Even though I'm really surprised. I was watching another like side note. I was watching Real World Seattle the other day and I was watching the episode where Steven slapped Irene.
mm,
And I'm just so shocked that MTV like took this like somewhat of a I don't want to say like backseat because they didn't take a backseat because they did like show the cast the film and footage, but I can't believe they didn't just immediately kick him out.
yeah,
Like I can't believe that they gave them a choice and they kind of gave Steven the time to like go to each roommate and kind of plead his case
mhm,
why he shouldn't be allowed to go home. And it's like, but now if you're on like one of those shows like The Challenge or whatever the fuck, if you hit anyone, you're out.
yeah,
Like you don't, they don't even like. There's no like whether or not it was justified or like you got into a fight with someone, whatever. It doesn't matter. And the fact that he's a woman,
mhm,
I mean, that he's a man and he hit a woman,
yeah,
like too. I thought that was like really crazy. But I guess they were trying to like I don't know the reason, but I'm assuming they were trying to keep like somewhat of integrity
yeah,
like in the story, like neutrality, like they're just there to document, but in some ways they have to step in. They did the same thing in the next season with Hawaii. They stepped in with Ruthie. I
yeah,
mean, she was
yeah,
driving drunk and they filmed her
yeah,
and they caught her outside the car and they were like, don't do this. And
mhm,
she was like, fuck you. And she got like grabbed the keys. If I mean like that's when it got like really murky as to like reality TV and like when should you step in
yeah,
and things like that. But yeah, it was super crazy.
yeah. Yeah, like I like Seattle isn't my favorite season. Like I like the cast. I just don't love them all that much. But like
I like just Seattle for obvious
yeah,
reasons. I like that
like
they're in
I mean I don't know.
the radio station.
I think my favorite seasons are probably like Boston, Miami. Like
Yeah, Miami's good.
and I don't know. I just love the cast for like the Boston season. So
Yeah, that was a good one too.
mhm,
There were a lot of things. There were a lot of like real topics that came up in that season too. All
yeah,
right, sorry for our real world
yeah.
tangent.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay. So Mary Cherry, they like interview her at the school. She's one of the students there, and she's just like, "Oh my God, this can't be happening. This teacher cannot be like molesting this other male student." And then then another like really fucked up line that Galecki says, who is like, what is his name? Jason?
Yeah,
I think Jason Bach is his name.
yeah.
And he says like teachers have to learn that no means no, at least until they drop out. Oh god, it's pretty bad. And then I love that Bill gets suspended, and I think he gets no, he doesn't. No, he does get pay. Does he get pay or does he
Yeah,
not?
yeah. I
He
think
does get pay, right? Yeah,
yeah,
because he like doesn't care, and he like tends to his garden,
yeah.
and he's just like, whatever, I'm just home now. It's okay. So he like doesn't really one way or another about it. And then Matt calls Bill
Mhm,
and tells him like you know, I'm like we're in LA, like this is where we are, like come help us, like blah blah blah. So then he tells Lyle Lovett, aka the cop, who already is like has a missing persons report, I think, on Matt. So they go out there and they go to LA to bring Matt back so Matt can come and like dispel the rumors and Jason will love Matt again. Like this is all like very whoa like the story. Like you'll see it so you know. So it's weird that there's a lot of geography confusion. I kind of don't know whether or not they're in Indiana or LA because I think they're filming them in the same place. So I don't really know when they're supposed to be in Indiana until they're in the house, but like that house is probably in LA
yeah,
and the street is too, so which is super weird. But so they get to LA, they find Matt, it's like a sub shop or something or like a taco shop out in LA. So she's pregnant and then they're like we all need to meet. We all need to meet. So then they meet for dinner, the four of them. Lucia is there. She's there. She's come out there. And it's weird that Lucia and Bill have this really weird relationship. Like, she's kind of like, I think he's almost like the perfect man for her. It's just that he's gay.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's like trying to get him to like her, or like, does she believe that he's gay or what?
I don't know. It seems kind of murky.
Yeah, it seems a little bit like she may be in love with him, but we're not sure. So then the four of them have dinner, and in this at this point, like, Christina Ricci's the only one ordering alcohol. She's massive. She's like 5 months pregnant or something like that,
Mhm.
like 5.5. And she's like, everyone else is ordering like regular Coke and Diet Coke, and she's like, Long Island iced tea. And they're like, you can't drink that. And she's like, do you know how much of this baby owes their life to Long Island iced teas? Like, it's okay. And she's like still smoking. So then Lisa Kudrow makes like the best thing. And she's like, look, I've been teaching high school girls for like 15 years. I know a lot about pregnancies.
Yeah.
You are 5.5 months, which means there is no way that this can be Matt's baby.
Mhm.
Plot twist.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, if being a public high school teacher doesn't make you an expert in like pregnancy, then like nothing will. Like
Nothing, right? She's like, I know. So they stole the 10K from the deposit box, so obviously knows. And I love that this one quote that Lucia says. She's like, oh, don't you ever realize there's a probability that they're in a trunk somewhere with Waco pamphlets? It's some like fucking crazy cult. And then during this whole thing, she's like, I think it's Dee Dee. She's like, look, you're going to help us pay for expenses. His job does not pay for this. And you need to, essentially, they're like blackmailing them.
Yeah.
And she's like, so you need to pay for all of this. And I stole the ashes of your partner. And she gives them the urn back, and there's nothing in it. And she's like, you'll get the ashes back when I get our money, and you leave us the fuck alone.
Oh yeah,
She stole his ashes.
and then like I guess they also admit that they got married in Vegas, which is
Oh, that's right.
they don't. I'm not sure if they revisit again, but I'm like, what?
Yeah, I know. I can't wear the ring because my hand is swollen. I was like, okay, so they never talking about divorce either, like, or even like the fact that they're husband and wife and they press charges,
Yeah.
or like that they testify for or against each other, which is like happens later. Oh, and Randy is this guy from back home who I forgot to mention. They show him quickly in the beginning that Dee Dee really likes because he has one ball and he's super nice to like everybody.
Yeah.
He's super nice to people are nice to him.
Yeah.
But he's actually not a good guy. He's a fucking asshole. But that's the father because
Yeah.
she got pregnant before she left home, and yeah. So I was like, Dee Dee, like, she grabs the money, leaves because they're like taking the money and stuff, and I think Bill's wants Matt back in Indiana so he can refute these charges and he can get his school job back, but it's weird that like they have this huge like conversation, like Lucia, Bill, and Matt are all like, come on, man, like she's gonna be with this other guy because Randy shows up.
Mhm.
Fucking, well, it's a really weird segment when I think like Bill and Lucia are like sneaking around to their apartment.
Yeah.
They like find it with her, and that's when they find Randy and Dee Dee together, and they're like, "Oh shit, you're the fucking guy. So you're taking this money, and you're in on
there is a great exchange of lines in the scene when between Lucia and Bill when I think at some point Lucia's like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually feel sorry for Matt. And then like Bill says he made his bed, he can lie in it. And then Lucia's like, if there's room.
Oh yeah. If there's room, yeah. And I love that Matt, like, they find Matt and they tell him like, yo, she's playing you, she's got this other guy, and he kind of like guilts his way into like making them feel bad for her. He's like, she's probably got trauma, she said it was her stepdad abused her, and they're like, she was lying. The whole thing's been a lie, because at first she said it was her stepdad's kid.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, then you find out later like, no, that's not true. But they're like, she's lying, this is fucking crazy. I'm like, oh my god. I was like, but he's still riding for Dee Dee.
Yeah.
Like Matt is totally still like riding for Dee Dee. And he's like, I don't care who the baby's father is. I still want to raise this kid. Like, he's like, I want to have a normal life. And then of course Bill's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, you want to have a normal life. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, there is no fucking normal, really. So then Dee Dee and Randy are in this like old motel. And they had this like gnarly fight, which
Mhm.
thank God the camera panned away when he was like beating her and hit her head into the like stone wall.
Yeah,
He,
yeah.
like bashed her, and then she's like, "I think you hurt the baby. I think something happened." So they have this like tussle, and you kind of see it off camera, and then it scrolls, and then you hear a gunshot, and then you're like, "Oh yeah, that's right, she has that gun." And then you find out that like he was on top of her, like strangling her or something, and she shot him, so she
Mhm.
killed him. But it was like, I was like, it's not. I mean, it's justified because he was like being really crazy, but she's like, "Oh, he was really nice. I feel bad." Like, but whatever. Like that's how it is. So she's on the run now. Dee Dee's on the run. We see that Lucia and Carl, which had this weird, it was super weird. Carl's wife died a long time ago, and he's ended up banging her nurse.
Yes.
And Lucia like kind of brings this up because I know he's like, when they first see each other, he's like, "Oh, hey, Lucia, I haven't seen you in a while." She's like, "Last time I saw you was at the funeral. Nancy's funeral." The one who died, your wife who died. And he's like, "Yeah, I know." So then later on, we just see them again, and there's something weird going on between them. So then they finally end up hooking up, and I love when you see outside, like they're outside the motel, and then Christina Ricci's voiceover is just like, "We're not going to go inside that room. You know what's happening in there. It's gross. It's weird." Turns out she's one of those talkers.
Oh
Ooh,
yeah.
baby.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Give it to me now, Daddy. Take me home.
Yeah. It is so funny. So then Bill goes back to Indiana, and then he gets Jason like at his front door, is like, "Get in the car." And has this tape from fucking Dee Dee. She's like blackmailing him essentially, like, "Look, give us money, and like this will all go away, and the guy Jason will end up rescinding your charges and saying that nothing happened, and you'll get your job back." I wrote, there's tons of road tripping in this film. I feel like
Oh yeah.
people are constantly on planes and cars and like doing all this crazy shit. Like Lucia and like is chasing them at one
Yeah.
point. Like Lucia is like chasing and they're in like Big Bear. It looks like they're in like Big Bear in like California. They're in like the mountains. I was like, where the fuck are we?
I
So then I think he's like he's taking them to Canada
yeah.
because he's like, "Take me to them." And she's hot on the trail. Lucia's like behind them. So she's like following them, which is so
Oh yeah.
funny.
Well, they do make that like pit stop and at like that gas station, and like Lucia and Jason run into each
Oh, that's
other,
right. Yeah, he's
and
getting the
then
snacks.
like from that point on, Lucia's like, well, I guess I'll follow them. So
Yeah. And then they're in Canada. And
yeah.
oh, how easy it is to just cross the border into Canada, it seems. She's like, oh, definitely on the run. So Jason takes Bill to Canada to this amazing log cabin. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it looks super nice.
Have you
And
have you ever been to Canada?
no.
Um,
Have you?
no, I don't think so.
You don't think so? You're like,
Um,
maybe.
I mean, I think my mom said they like took a trip to like Nova Scotia when I was like a year old or something. I was like, well, I don't
Oh,
remember
okay.
it. But
I know. Oh God, I wish like yeah, I haven't been to Canada. I mean, I would like to go if the world is still existing
yeah,
and has like a normal flow after a while. We get this fucking virus under control, but who the fuck knows?
yeah,
Um, so yeah, this log cabin's super nice. And then Dee Dee, then they have this like weird conversation, blah blah blah. Matt is like, "I really love Jason. He makes me happy." And Bill's like, "What the fuck?" Like,
yeah,
what's going on? Like, why do you like this guy? I'm like, who cares? Just let him go. He's dumb. He's like a dumb 25-year-old guy. So then it's funny when Dee Dee like goes into labor. I wrote, her voice is so funny. And one of my favorite quotes is Lucia going, "Are you having contractions?" She's like, "No, this is my sleeping phase. What do you think?" She's like violently screaming. And then I love when she goes into labor and they have a split screen.
yeah,
So she's like, "I know you don't want to see this because this is just every other labor scene and like every other film." And then it's all like split screen. And then on the other side, you just see like Lucia like putting up her coat and like something super mundane and lame. And I think that's so funny. And then I love that while in delivery, she finds out she has a boy. And then she's like, "Can you check his balls?" To make
yeah,
sure it's not just one, like the father. And then also we find out that Lucia's pregnant. Yay.
yay,
And she yeah, which is so funny. So then Dee Dee ends up, we have like kind of a recap that Dee Dee ends up going to jail for 6 months for leaving the scene of a crime
Yeah.
because of what happened in like Palm Springs. They were in LA, they were in Palm Springs. I don't know where everyone was at one point. I feel like there's Canada, there's Palm Springs, there's LA, there's Indiana, and there's Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many places where everything takes part. And then so then you see at the end like RJ is his name. Bill's taking care of Randy Jr.
Mhm.
and Lucia has had her baby when it must have been like a year later because she's like out of jail.
Yeah.
And then I love my favorite one of my favorite scenes is the end where Dee Dee's just like talking about like what she's learned and she's like, I don't know why people deal with sex. It always leads to like something horrible like a kid or a relationship. Who the fuck wants that? And then she's like, I want the opposite of that. Like, and then she kind of like realizes and she like, does the whole like kind of montage of like all these people and their relationships. And then she's like, well, maybe it's like overrated, maybe it's not. And she just has this like, and then she's like, but whatever. I'm just gonna sit here and figure it out. And then she's like, get out of here. No, get out of here. And then she like tells the camera, like, go,
Yeah.
get out. And that's how it ends, which is so funny. I just love it. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, and then I love how like the last line is, I will tell you one thing, I was never the same again after that summer.
I know. I think at the beginning she said that. She's like, this is not going to be like one of those films where like you're going to like me and I'm going to be like super sweet the whole time. Like you're probably going to hate me and you're probably going to be like this and wonder why is all this happening and everything. And yeah. And then she's like, don't you hate those films where it's like, I never was a tame after that last summer. And then they tell you like what happened and she like exactly what the whole thing was. So it's really funny. And I liked how you were mentioning earlier, I think by text that like I love the character development in this.
Yeah, yeah. No, I thought it was cool how even like minor characters were still just like really complex people.
Mm-hmm.
How like, Matt, has this relationship with Bill and then with Dee Dee, and then they get married, and then they decide not to be romantic together. Then like he hooks up with Jason, and it's just I don't know, it's just
Jason's multi-layered too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. Oh, another really great quote is Dee Dee going, God, how does a woman get so bitter? And Lucia's like, observation. Which is so funny. There are so many great there's so many great lines like throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just really funny. Now for music, I don't have much because there aren't many songs, I don't think,
Yeah,
even in this film.
I didn't really hear any songs of note. I do like the song that's playing over the opening credits. That's like, you know,
What is the song in the opening
I
credits?
don't know. It's like something, 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 some. I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up. Let me find out. I was gonna say for the. Let me see. Let me. We're so unorganized here. Let me find out what the song is. Okay, there's. Okay, it's performed by Jeannie Stahl. It's called "Looking for Love." There are
Okay.
only 3 songs credited. "Looking for Love," and then there's "Pilot Mode" by Mason Daring, and then there's "For Another Clown." Also written and performed by Shane Koss and Adrian Hertzholder. So clearly, soundtrack was not important.
No, I don't think so. I think,
So yeah, especially for the money too.
yeah,
Like 5 million, it probably just that wasn't really like in the budget to have that in there.
yeah.
But as far as fashion goes,
Oh my
do you have
God.
any fashion notes?
So I love Dee Dee's like funeral outfit. In the
I
beginning,
know.
that's like a super low cut, like I think it's like a light blue like mini dress, and like she's like smoking a cigarette and has like the big '90s sunglasses on.
Mm.
Um, so I don't know. I thought that was cool. Um, I think that's it. So,
I love the grungy wardrobe um of Jason.
yeah, that was cool.
I think he looks really cool. Matt looks pretty boring and basic. I liked Dee Dee's outfit at the end, which is that yellow cardigan and that like blue dress.
Mhm.
I like that her hair is longer at the
Yeah.
end. She has that longer blonde hair, and she has those cool like platform sandals and like jeans and that like kind of halter top, which
Mhm.
is kind of cool. Everyone else was pretty boring. She has that really cool. I think it's like the black bikini is really cool
Yeah.
that she's wearing at the pool. That's like super 90s. And she has that really cool like gold dress
Mhm.
that I think she has on when she's in the motel when she's fighting
Oh
with
yeah.
Rand. And then also the funeral outfit has those really cool leopard collars,
Oh
like
yeah.
on the hands and on the top, the neck collar, which is really cool. I love the way she looks blonde.
Yeah. Yeah.
And her makeup is cool. She has that like light eyeshadow,
Mhm.
which is super neat. And then she has a red lip. She looks a lot like how she looked in Buffalo '66,
Oh, okay.
which I think was after this.
Okay.
I guess maybe it was like 98, 99, something like that. But yeah, she obviously has like the best outfit. She has
Oh
the
yeah.
red nails. She just looks super cool. She looks super fucking cool.
Yeah.
So what are your favorite scenes and lines?
So I love the scene when they tell Bill that she's pregnant.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I also love that montage at the end when she's doing the like voiceover and just shows like all the couples kind of like together.
Uh-huh.
Just like of like, uh Bill and like his first boyfriend, then Bill and his new boyfriend.
Mhm.
Um and then I'm trying to think.
And
Uh
Carl and Lucia and
yeah.
like they have the baby.
And then I do love how like when Dee Dee and Lucia first meet, how like Dee Dee's just like, I guess she's trying to make conversation. She's like, yeah, so Bill's kind of old, right? He's like, and then Lucia's like, yeah, he's like 35.
She's like, he's 35. And she's like, well. So
And then
funny.
I like that scene when like they're in like the sandwich shop, but they don't, and they're looking for Matt, and Lucia's like, oh well, maybe you like probably maybe you have to chalk it up to destiny. You'll probably maybe you'll never see him again until you're sitting next to each other on a plane. And Bill's like, I don't believe in destiny. And then Lucia's like, fuck, who does? Um, and then I love how during like that confrontation scene when like Dee Dee and Randy sort of like rob Matt and like take the money that's left over from the safe deposit box. How
Mhm.
like Matt and Randy get into a fight, and Dee Dee's like, Randy, be Christ-like.
Oh yeah, that's right. She does.
So yeah,
I thought also just as a whole, the script was really
it
good.
was.
Like just it was really smart. It was really funny. It,
Um,
it just yeah, it was really good and I feel like it's pretty ahead of its time.
yeah, well, I remember when it first came out, I was just really excited because there just weren't a lot of movies with like gay characters,
Yeah, I
you
was gonna
know?
say it's considered like an LGBT film. At least
Yeah.
that's what it's categorized as. But yeah, that's true. There weren't that many. There was like Billy's Hollywood Screen Kiss,
Mhm.
which was like, I mean, that was super underground.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or there are a lot of people that were playing a lot of. Well, I think everyone in here. Oh my God! Wait, I love when I just remembered another funny bit. I love when Lucia's like going to Bill's house, and it's after all the media's like hounding him after like the whole charges came out, and they're all yelling at her, and she's like, "I'm just trying to get inside, like leave me alone." And they're like, "Are you a lesbian? Do you watch Ellen?" they're like screaming, and then she like closes the door after. That's so funny. She's like, "Oh my God." And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go out there." And she's like, "No, but there's reporters everywhere." And he's like, "No, I'm going out," which is super funny. But it's crazy that like the media was like so accusatory back then.
Oh
It
yeah,
was just like, "Are you gay? Oh my God, do you watch Ellen?" Like she's the only gay person.
yeah,
But I guess in like 97, 98, like she had just come out and it was like a big deal.
yeah.
Like on her sitcom.
I actually just like watched a. I think like recently, like it was 20 years since that episode aired, and
Oh,
I watched this
wow.
thing on Ellen, where because she had a reunion with Laura Dern, who played her love interest in that episode, and
Oh.
with Oprah Winfrey, who played her therapist, and they said that like, I think Laura Dern said that she didn't get any work for like 2 years, like following that, like because she filmed that. Um,
Really?
yeah, and like I mean, and remember like Oprah had this like special episode where like she had Ellen on and like she's like answering questions and like Oprah said she got all this like hate mail and people were just like, I can't believe you would do this, and
God.
like, so I mean I don't know, like I mean and it, like I don't know, it was just such a big deal.
Yeah, it really was. And I think she was on the cover of like The Advocate,
Yeah.
like right after. And I think I read too, or I heard or watched on some show that like I think a lot of ad sponsors dropped out.
Hmm.
Like all the advertisements for the show, like for ABC or whatever. I think it was ABC that she was on. I think. Was it ABC or was
Yeah.
it NBC? I
Yeah.
think it was ABC,
Yeah, I think
right?
so.
So like she yeah, I think a lot of like advertisers dropped too
Yeah.
because that they aired that because they were like standing behind it. But I think she had another season after that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it wasn't like canceled. It's not like the show was canceled, but yeah, I remember that. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
And even I was just even thinking when like how much gay rights have changed and evolved because even just watching the old Real World, it was like a big deal if someone was gay in the
Oh yeah.
house.
Yeah.
It was like they would ask like right away or like in New Orleans when Danny was dating the guy in the military
Hmm.
and he was like fuzzed out because
Yeah.
like if they found out he would be like thrown out or something. And then they had like Genesis in Boston,
Hmm.
like that was kind of novelty. I remember when she was hanging out with this guy who was like a drag queen, and they were like, "What's the deal? Like, what's going on there?" And she was just like, "I don't know. He's my friend." Like, but it was so novelty for then,
Yeah.
like, and they were just same
Well,
with like Pedro in San Francisco. I
yeah.
mean, that was a pretty clear.
Well, I mean,
In-
I feel like the nuances of sexuality are like a lot more, it's like a lot more complicated now. So like there wasn't,
yeah.
so I forget what it is, but I think there's like actually a term for, or for like women who like are attracted to predominantly to like men in drag, like.
Oh yeah. I'm sure
And
there is.
so, and so like everyone was just like, but we don't, but that doesn't make sense. And I was like, well, I don't know.
Who
Maybe
cares?
you're not asking the right questions. Like,
Yeah, or like, who cares?
yeah,
That's just what she likes. Like, what's the big deal?
I mean,
But yeah, it was very like, why? But like, she knows they're men. I remember there was an episode where she's like, there, she knows they're men. Why? Why would she do that? Like, why does she want that? I was like, what does it matter?
yeah, I mean, you don't have to date him. So,
No.
like,
It's so crazy, but thank God for that we've
yeah.
evolved past that. So my favorite scenes and lines are basically yours. The only one I will add to yours is the dinner in LA when she
Oh,
steals the ashes. That's like, and then all these revelations happen. Like he's not the father. She's stolen the ashes. She's
yeah.
blackmailing them. Like that I just find really hilarious. And then my favorite line was the one I said earlier, where it was like, "There's so many, so it's almost like the entire script is just so funny." And the are you having contractions? No, this is my sleeping phase. What do you think? And she's like heaving and screaming and hauling, which is super funny. So yeah, man, this is a short episode, but we are so excited about next month because it's the first, and I should have been doing this earlier, which I actually just talked about earlier to Mike on the phone, that I need to do a housekeeping segment in the front of the show. So that
Hmm.
will happen in the next one, where I have a script of what's actually going on, where you can find the podcast online and all that kind of bullshit and formatting notes. And we're going to be doing one film a month from the 2000s to the 2020 range.
Cool.
So we'll announce it on the first of the month. So this is the first, but I'm going to already announce it. But we're going to do Rules of Attraction.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's going to come out on the second Sunday of the month. So look out for that. And then yeah, I did a poll for the first one, but the next one will be a surprise. But I guess I'll let people know about it, and listen to it on iTunes. Give us 5 stars, helps the podcast grow. More people see us. Listen on Spotify, follow there, Stitcher, Google, iHeart, fucking everywhere. I don't know, I put it everywhere. So listen to it, send us emails. On the Instagram is at Fashion Grunge Pod. Charles, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram just under my name, Charles Haslam.
Yeah, so go
So
check that out. It's in the show notes. You can click it. I put everyone's names in there too. So yeah, this was so fun. This is a nice little short one, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a great film. It's really smart. I think people out there will really like it, especially if you're a Christina Ricci fan. I think people really are. So it's probably one of her underrated films, I think. I don't
Mhm.
think a lot of people have seen it. So take advantage on Amazon Prime. And I think it might be on some other free services as well. So
Oh,
check
cool.
that out. Yeah, check that out. So yeah, we will see you on the next one.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.